We're on the eve of something that has great challenges, right? It's going to greatly upend the balance of power.
What is actually the likelihood of you losing your job or your career or your business, if you're someone like me, in the near future due to AI? Here, I want to lay out a couple of things here that I don't feel like is being spoken about very publicly if you like scroll X or something like that. Mostly, the narrative, I just felt like a little bit of arrogance goes a long ways. Most of the posts that are coming out about new emerging AI, you see a lot of like, yeah, there's inherent risks, but overall, it's really popular. Popular? Why am I talking like this today? Most of it's pretty positive. Most of it's like, yeah, it's emerging quick and it's changing really fast, but you know, it's going to be really good for us. I don't understand that. Like maybe it will overall, but I feel like there's this gap between where we're at right now. Let's go here. And to get to here, let's say there is a high likelihood that we'll hit this utopic paradise. To get there, there's going to have to be so much drastic changes. And I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think our generation, my generation, say 40 and under, and you're probably going to see this in your lifetime while you're still like conscious and aware and alive, you know. Being conscious goes hand in hand with being alive, I suppose. Here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to show you some videos of just what is kind of being spoken about on X and other places. This is one with Sam Altman. He basically says that when they started, they were at, I'll show you here.
O3, which we talked about publicly in December, is the 175th best competitive programmer in the world. I think our internal benchmark is now around 50, and maybe we'll hit number 1 by the end of this year.
Just think about that. By the end of this year, AI will be the number 1 coder in the world. Is that what he means by that?
And maybe we'll hit number 1 by the end of this year. The best competitive programmer in the world.
I don't understand how this isn't going to affect the job market. This is just to make my case a little bit more. This is Anthropic CEO.
We're on the eve of something that has great challenges, right? It's going to greatly upend the balance of power. If someone dropped a new country into the world, 10 million, 10 million people smarter than any human alive today, you'd ask the question, what is their intent? What are they actually going to do in the world, particularly if they're able to act autonomously? I think it's unfortunate that there wasn't more discussion of those issues. There was in the earlier summit in the UK held in 2023, the one at Bletchley Park.
It sounds a little bit to me like he feels like, things are maybe past the point. I mean, no doubt they're past the point of no return. There's no turning AI. You can't turn AI off now. Even if the US was like, shut it down. Well, China's not going to do that. And Russia's not going to do that. You can't shut it down. This was an interview with him in January 21st of this year.
The scaling of AI, it feels like this river that, every once in a while it runs into a stone, but it'll always finds a way to go around.
It's hitting a stone to you right now?
It absolutely does not. In fact, right now I am more confident than I have ever been at any previous time that we are very close to powerful capabilities. Throughout the 10 years that I've been working in this field, I've always said, I don't know for sure. This is the direction it seems like it's going in. We could be getting to very powerful or human level systems. I still think there's uncertainty. I think it's important to be humble. But over the last 6 months, I would say that uncertainty for me has decreased.
He said in just the past 6 months. Oh, you just heard it. You heard. I don't need to echo what he said. Echo. Well, here's my overall thought. I have a couple more clips I want to play. My idea here is that even the CEOs of these companies, Anthropic CEO here and Sam Altman himself, I feel like have been pretty open about like, yeah, this technology is really taking off quick. Obviously, they don't want to say like, yeah, this is going to take away your job. They're very hesitant, like, no, this is going to open up more jobs. That's the narrative I keep hearing. It's like, yeah, it's going to disrupt some jobs, just like other technology, but it's going to create so many more. I think that's a bunch of bull because as Anthropic CEO here just said, this thing is moving quick and you have to look at like, well, where is it heading? And you look at what Sam Altman said, it's going to be the number 1 programmer by the end of this year. He feels like, A lot of people have jobs that they couldn't do without their computer. Their computer does most of the work. They just work through the computer. So as soon as you have AI that can control your computer and do things on your computer for you, and this is where it's heading very quickly. Like, listen to this interview. This is the same guy. This is Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei. That's not how you say that. This is what he felt like is going to happen.
When we're at the point where we have a model, an AI model that can do everything a human can do, at the level of a Nobel laureate, like the one sitting next to me, across many fields, can do anything a human can do remotely, can do tasks that take, minutes, hours, days, months. My guess is that we'll get that in 2026 or 2027.
I just don't understand how people are like, yeah, no, it's going to be fine. So what if there's some creature, some intelligence that's smarter than me that can do all the things that I do on my computer? That's what is being created right now, is AI that can control our computer. In a short amount of time, if we get to this AGI state, it will already be able to do everything we can do on a computer, or most things, it sounds like, faster, cheaper, and better. There's maybe going to be a few employers who are like, we're just anti-AI. We're full human. We want to empower humans and keep them working. But most companies are driven by money. And the biggest cost to running a business is people. So if you can have an AI that does what the majority of your people were doing, but for a fraction of the cost, and they do it way faster because, they don't sleep and they're just faster, period, and it does a better job, like, why would any company keep people unless they wanted to just go out of business because they won't be able to compete with their competitors who are using AI? Please let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm missing something, but what's the job? What do you need a human for? I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think once we get to the other side of that, if AI can be aligned with human values, I don't know how that works. I don't see how that happens, but assuming it does, and we live in this utopia, like, that's amazing. But I just feel like to get there, it's not going to happen overnight. There's going to be some troublesome days, I think, for most people who earn a living behind a computer. And if you're not preparing for that right now, by trying to find value that you can add to the world that doesn't involve you directly interacting with a computer, I think you're going to be hit upside the head as soon as this hits your employer. That's when your eyes are going to be open, when your employer fires you and you're like, what are these mass layoffs? And you find out it's AI. How is that not coming? I don't see how that's not coming based on what all of these experts are saying. Anyways, that's my take. I have more videos here. I have Mark Zuckerberg basically saying the same thing.
I think we're going to live in a world where there are going to be hundreds of millions of billions of different AI agents, eventually probably more AI agents than there are people in the world. A lot of what we're focused on is giving every creator and every small business the ability to create AI agents for themselves.
So this is the goal. Like, this is Mark Zuckerberg, and I think it's the goal. Obviously, it's the goal of every other AI company. Sam Altman's OpenAI, for sure, is not only pushing this direction, but already has agents. So does Anthropic, and Grok, I'm assuming, will soon. And agents right now, today, February 20th, 2025, can do some pretty dang impressive things, like things outside of my understanding. I just see a bunch of people who understand coding who are doing things like having the AI write code, and they're like, this is pretty dang impressive. Where do you I just don't understand, looking at how fast AI has progressed already since the end of 2022, 23, in 2-ish years, it's already at a place where it's like blowing people's minds. And that's in the context of seeing the progress change over time. I think we underestimate, or we're less surprised than we probably should be at the progress that's actually taking place. It's like watching your kids grow. You don't realize how fast they've grown because you see them every day. That's kind of how we've been with AI. We've been able to see it grow sort of steadily. And yet we're still kind of like shocked, like, dang, this is moving so quick. It's amazing because of the potential for it. The potential for it's really high. But again, to get to that place, at some point, like we're very close to AI doing things for us better than we can. It's already coding better than most people. It's hard for me to look at any indoor job, a job where you sit behind a computer Even if you're talking to people, you work in sales, you work in HR, even if you're working with people, most of your work's probably done behind the computer. In even the voice chat part where you're like, well, hey, I can't replace my voice. Of course it can. There's not many jobs that I don't see being at least disrupted and at most completely destroyed and annihilated by AI soon. Like maybe, I mean, this is already happening, but I think it's going, I keep saying I think, I mean, who knows what the future is going to hold, but based on what the experts are saying, this is going to continue and it's not slowing down, it's speeding up. So potentially by the end of this year, you may not have a job anymore. That's not a fun thing to think about, but I think if you don't think about it, if you don't face the facts, at least as far as we can tell, you're going to be in bad shape. Anyways, that's a happy note to end on. Help me grow this channel, won't you? Like and subscribe and do all those things that, YouTube wants you to do. I'd appreciate it.